What's up, Net Soldiers? I'm Ned Alliance. Welcome again to another Friday Fun Day. Today we're going to be doing the 10 original Star Wars trilogy problems nobody wants to admit. This is another What Culture video, so if you guys want to check that out, there will be a link to their channel below. I like to do these type of videos where I dissect other people's videos and I just see just how accurate they are, or if they're just kind of nitpicking. So we're gonna see. We'll see if they get the Net Alliance seal of approval. For more videos like this, remember to like, subscribe, and turn notifications. And as well as you guys have any ideas for a future Friday Fun Day video, let me know, comments below. And if you use your idea, then I will give you a shout out in the video. So with that said, let's just jump in and we'll see how accurate these guys are. Let's go.
Number 10, the Hammy Dialogue. Fans of Star Wars who happen to hate the prequels but love the originals tend to take a sort of twisted pleasure in quoting the awful dialogue inherent to episodes 1 through 3. The classics like, "I don't like sand," or "From my point of view, the Jedi are evil," and the particularly ill-judged, "I wish that I could just wish away my feelings." But what some people seem to forget is that Lucas wrote all 6 films, and so of course the originals were frequently subject to this same shoddy dialogue.
But I was going into Toshi Station to pick up some power converters.
Then there's Kenobi's cheesy as hell remark,
"Only a master of evil does."
Jesus, Obi, as if you've not burnt Anakin enough already. While Lucas created one hell of an awesome universe and compelling narrative, the fact is he's just never been that great when it comes to dialogue. Even Mark Hamill himself admitted this in a Tonight Show interview at the time and let the audience in on a line that he forced George to remove from the screenplay completely. And it's a corker.
But we can't turn back. Fear is their greatest defense. I doubt if the actual security there is any greater than it was on Aquilai or Soas, and what there is most likely directed towards a large-scale assault.
Number 9, there are...
That's pretty bad. Okay, so the dialogue in all Star Wars movies aren't always the best. Okay, but when it comes down to it, the prequels dialogue is definitely worse than the originals. That's for multiple different type of reasons. But, I mean, I'll admit, there are some lines here and there. But, you know, they're classics. I don't look too deep into the dialogues of the movies. I'm just here to enjoy the films, and just because the dialogue isn't always the best doesn't mean that it's not a good film. And when it comes down to it, every Star Wars movie has its own greatness to it. Even Attack of the Clones, and that's my least favorite. So, you know, they all have good things about them, even if there are some that have a lot more worse things about them. So that's my opinion, of course, on that.
There are barely any female characters. Remember, you can follow What Culture on Twitter at What Culture, or me on my personal account.
Hey, shut up, What Culture. What do you think this is? Your video or something? Okay.
If that sort of thing grinds your gears. In either case, it's just bad design. You've got a huge universe featuring a pretty big band of rebels and an Imperial force which is itself of galactic proportions, and the only major female players in the entire trilogy are Leia, Mon Mothma, and does Aunt Beru even count? The problem is simply that Lucas forgot to populate his world with a realistic number of ladies, and whichever way you look at that, it's just not particularly believable. Number 8, the passage of...
You want to know why there's no women in Star Wars? Because look what happens when you put too many women in Star Wars. Look at the new trilogy. Just saying. No, of course, I'm kidding. I'm not 100% true on that. But there is a certain point where, like, when you try to put too much female empowerment into movies, you can end up missing the whole point of the movie and then just trying to deliver that message. And that message then can become seen as flawed because it's just... There's no reason to put female empowering stuff into a movie when you already have at least one other female who is like the female role and who serves that empowering person. So I mean, Leia, think of Leia. She's a strong character, you know. So you don't really need to throw more girls in just because more girls. Do you know what I mean? That's just dumb. So I don't know if I agree with that one as much.
Of time in The Empire Strikes Back. Put simply, scenes on Dagobah and Cloud City are presented as though they're all happening pretty much consecutively, leading to the illusion that Luke's training to become a half-decent Jedi at least took place across, like, what, a week? Now, before you rush down to the comment section, I do know there are countless ways this has been explained over the years. For example, with a broken hyperdrive, maybe the Falcon took a month or more to actually get to Bespin. Also, Luke's lineage probably makes him an exceedingly fast learner. And then, of course, Dagobah has some mental thing going on where time passes differently there. But then, maybe the Empire also tortured Han for weeks before Luke left Yoda. Or the training really did just last a week or so, and he wasn't actually holding his own in the saber fight because Vader was just toying with him. What a f***ing mess. The problem here is not that there's some massive impossible plot hole with the time frame, because there's probably not. The issue is that only one of the above explanations needs to be true, but the film is simply presented in a way that does not clearly demonstrate any of them. Number 7, Chewie.
That is true. It does seem like Luke has been practicing with Yoda for like a couple months, you know, but then it kind of turns out to seem like it's like a week, if that, you know, so it is pretty interesting. I mean, that could be kind of explained away, like, with planets having different time systems. So, like, how a day on Earth would be different than a day on Mars. So, essentially, like, 6 months can pass on Dagobah, and technically, you know, it could only be, like, 2 days in space or something. I don't know, for it's smaller, maybe a smaller planet. I mean, it's interesting. So, I'll give him to that one. That one is pretty accurate, though. That always made me go, how did he become that good that quick, you know? And I guess he really wasn't that good, though, so, I don't know. There you go.
Doesn't get a medal. Well, if you actually read the day after the Death Star comic, Peter, you'd know that he refused the offer because Wookiees don't value medals in their culture, but then he received one the following day after Solo persuaded him to take it. Yeah, you know what that's called? That's called retroactive continuity, meaning there was an obvious deficiency in the film that someone had to fix in subsequent material. The fact is that nothing was established about Wookiees' attitudes to medals in 1977, and so all that viewers were left with was the apparent injustice of a beloved character who hates losing at holochess, let's not forget that, being swept aside at an awards ceremony because he apparently didn't want the recognition. That's just bad form. Number 6, ObiWan.
Yeah, the reason why he didn't get a medal is because he wasn't human, and only humans get medals. Just saying. No, I'm just kidding. It's I don't know. I don't really think that's really that big of a deal. The thing with Star Wars is, like they explained, you know, it gets explained later. Things that don't make sense now can be explained later down the road at any moment. So there you go. That it got explained. So nothing to complain about.
Is rubbish at hiding. Obi-Wan Kenobi, one of the last Jedi and therefore a potential threat to the Empire, went into hiding at the end of the Clone Wars. Except he didn't, did he? He moved into a house not far from Vader's family. His best attempt at changing his name took him from Obi-Wan Kenobi to Old Ben Kenobi, which is basically the same name. He established enough of a reputation for himself that some local kid knew him as a, quote, wizard, and he swapped his unmistakable Jedi robes for... Oh, no, he didn't actually. He kept his Jedi robes. And he clearly popped into Mos Eisley often enough to know it was a wretched hive of scum and villainy, and that the Cantina can be a little rough. God, Kenobi might be one of my favourite characters in the saga, but he is categorically the worst hide-and-seeker in the galaxy. Number 5.
I agree with that. Yes, that's all I'm going to say. I agree with that. That's something that I feel like isn't 100% always explained, but... Hey, the Kenobi movie's coming out. Maybe they'll explain it. There you go.
Production errors. We're halfway through, so it's time to have a quick fire look at some general movie mistakes, because hey, even the best blockbusters have them. When Obi-Wan crosses blades with Vader on the Death Star, the cable that powered his prop lightsaber is clearly visible going up his sleeve. When Luke takes down the Walker on Hoth using a thermal detonator, a stick can be seen prodding it in the hind leg to make it fall over. In Return of the Jedi, when Luke kicks this guy in the head, he Jesus Christ. Number 4, Stormtroopers are... Okay,
yeah. You know, the first two you really wouldn't notice, but that kick is so obvious. And it's really bad. They should probably refilm that, but hey, you know... Maybe it'll be explained in the future. Maybe he did a force kick. You know, he used the force and kicked, and that's just how things are.
Are rubbish. Now, sure, it's an infamous stereotype at this point that Stormtroopers can't aim for shit. But perhaps a new angle of approach here is to consider that across all 6 hours of the original trilogy, the hundreds, if not thousands of shots fired, according to amazing megafans who actually track statistics like this, only hit their mark less than 27% of the time. 27%. And that's accounting for the fact that they were missing deliberately during the Death Star escape. I'm sure many of you didn't really need any convincing on this one, but there is and probably always will be a large chunk of the fandom who are convinced that Stormtroopers are competent badasses. And they're wrong. Number 3,
I agree. Stormtroopers aren't as good as clones. That's how it is, you know? Clones are just super good, you know?
Cantina scuffle is a continuity mess. This is Dr. Evazan. He has a normal human hand and wears a tan shirt. This is Ponda Baba. He has turquoise flippers and wears an orange jacket. Obi-Wan waves his saber, and then, on the floor, we see a furry 5-digit hand in an orange sleeve. Officially, it was Baba's arm that got severed while Evazan got slashed in the torso, but I don't know what this is supposed to be. There's no denying that this simply does not add up. They also deleted an apparent decapitation, so I'm livid. Number 2, Boba
No way.
Fett.
I never knew they decapitated that dude at first. Wow, Obi-Wan just slaughtered those guys in that cantina initially. Wow, I didn't know that. That's pretty cool.
Was poorly implemented. There's an argument that goes as far as to say Boba Fett is overrated, but I don't know if I subscribe to that as such. Though his screen time is fleeting, I think his armor, voice, and overall presence are still enough for us to form a perfectly legitimate judgment on how badass he really is. He's got a f***ing jetpack. God, I wish I had one of those. However, that's still not to say that he lived up to his potential. Whoever noticed that Boba Fett never actually kills anyone in the entire saga? And that death, my god, that death. Sure, in Star Wars Legends he survived and went on to do a bunch of cool stuff, but the fact remains that part of the climax to Return of the Jedi could have included a Han versus Boba final battle if he'd not just fallen into the mouth of the Sarlacc. He certainly deserved more screen time than number 1.
Yeah, Boba Fett was so underutilized, man. You know, here's the thing. If he survived, cool. If he didn't, cool. Like, I don't really care if Boba Fett survived. I kind of hope... I kind of wish he does in some way. But I also am like, if he does, like, you know, I don't really care. So, I mean, like, he's not that significant of a character. As cool as he is, he's not significant. So, I mean, he doesn't need to be around anymore. So, I don't know.
The Ewoks. The events on the Endor moon are about the most demonstrative example worth giving to superfans who reckon Star Wars is a perfect piece of cinema. The Ewoks are irritating, distracting, and make the troopers look even more moronic than they already did. Most of them don't even border on cute either. I mean, look at this one, Jesus Christ. And so they don't even tick the merchandising box, I don't think. The most tragic thing, though, is the knowledge that budget limits prevented this sequence from taking place on Kashyyyk with an army of Wookiees, an idea later brought to Episode 3. Sorry, Ewok fans, but these guys just don't belong. And that's...
I actually heard about that whole thing, like the Ewoks are supposed to be the Wookiees, and I think that would have been so cool. Like, imagine just if Return of the Jedi had a battle of the Wookiees, you know? That would have been awesome. But I don't know. I don't mind the Ewoks very much. When it comes down to it, George Lucas says it best himself. Star Wars is a franchise movie for 12-year-olds. And that's how it is. So no matter how old you get, it's a movie for kids. And so you can't particularly get mad at that much stuff because it's not meant for you. It's meant for the kids. And that's just how it is. So there you go. But that's it for this video, guys. I hope you enjoyed. If you want to see more videos like this, please remember to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. Please turn on your notifications. Actually, recently YouTube has been like screwing up my notification stuff for people for some reason. Like they're not getting my notifications even if they are signed up to my notifications. So I mean, do that. I recommend it because once they fix it, then you'll get all that stuff and it'll be nice. So please do that. But that's it for now, guys. I gotta get going, so I'll catch you guys later.